Welcome to my views and news. Very important briefing was held where Ridwan Hussain, National Security Advisor, briefed political party representatives where federal government made its position clear about the future of Wolkait, about the future of TPLF, about relations with Eritrea and Egypt, Sudan, to that Ridwan Hussain and other Ethiopian government officials visited Tigray a few days ago. Delegation was led by House of Representatives Speaker, and Ridwan was the main man who led Ethiopian government's team of negotiators which signed peace deal with TPLF in November. And we know that when a committee was announced around several months ago for talks with TPLF, Demeke Mekonnen was the main man leading the committee of negotiators on Ethiopian government side. Damascus Terone was there too. Both are seen as pro-Amhara region, but they were not part of negotiations. Both were removed, or they did not participate in talks held in Pretoria and in Kenya. Ridwan was the main man, and others too, who led Ethiopian government's committee of negotiators. So he's the main man, you can say. And more than 50 political party representatives were briefed by Ridwan Hussain, by the speaker as well, about the visit of this delegation to Tigray, about Ethiopian government's position, about Wolkait, about TPLF, about Eritrean military presence in Ethiopia, about Egypt and Sudan. Firstly, what did the security advisor Ridwan Hussain say about Wolkait? What is going to be the future status of Wolkait? Who will decide? Ridwan said that the purpose of this war, the objective of this war, was not to take back Wolkait. If Wolkait was taken by TPLF by force, and now by force it is taken back, it will lead to a vicious circle. It will continue. So what is needed is a solution based on constitution. So that is why the issue will be resolved by the federation, by the constitution. The issue will be constitutional. That is what he said. It means that firstly, Amhara region has been taking this position for the past 2 years, that Wolkait is Amhara. It's non-negotiable. It's part of Amhara. But Ethiopian federal government did not allocate any budget for Wolkait. Government kept it as a grey zone. The government is still keeping this grey zone. It is not announcing Wolkait to be part of Tigray or Amhara. Interpretation of constitution could be tricky. Though some analysts pro-TPLF, they claim that constitutionally Wolkait is part of Tigray. But I think that Ridwan Hussain's words indicate there could be a mutually acceptable solution which will be found by House of Federation, by the constitutional arrangement. That is what seemed to be happening. There could be referendum, there could be some other ways of resolving this issue. By the way, at a meeting held this week between PM Abiy and Amhara Prosperity Party officials, he hinted at holding of referendum in Wolkait. But referendum in Wolkait for me is not the solution, because Amhara say that they were ethnically cleansed from the area decades ago. And now Tigrayans say that after 2020, tens of thousands were expelled from Wolkait. So who will vote in the referendum? That is why it's a tricky issue still. But federal government is sending a message to the Amhara region-based groups as well. They should not take it for granted that Wolkait is part of Amhara. No, the issue is unresolved. It will be resolved in accordance with Ethiopian constitution. Secondly, TPLF. What is the future status of TPLF? Ridwan said that it is not government's intention to eliminate TPLF as a political force. It means TPLF has managed to survive as a political party. The terrorism label is going to be removed in coming days or weeks. Can we say that Ridwan and federal government will not back creation of an alternative political force in Tigray? Ridwan is only saying that TPLF's political survival, he ensured TPLF's political survival. He did not say that no alternative force can be created in Tigray. I think TPLF is surviving, obviously, but government will try to create some sort of political alternative force in Tigray. Yes, TPLF will continue as a political party in Tigray. Thirdly, he mentioned Eritrea. I was surprised when I heard him talk about Eritrea, the way he explained Eritrean role in changing the battlefield balance in this third round of fighting. He said that due to winter, federal government forces were not able to cross Tigray from the west. That is why Eritrea allowed Ethiopian forces to cross the river from Eritrean side, and they crossed the river, they reached Zalambasa. That changed the battlefield balance. That is not what happened, by the way. Federal forces, regional forces, they crossed Tigray from Wolkait. What happened in Dadabad? There was fighting for days. But on this front, TPLF managed to push them back, Tigray fighters. So they could not make any gains. The offensive from the north was a joint offensive by Eritrean and Ethiopian forces. It wasn't just ENDF. He said as if Eritrea just hosted ENDF and ENDF solely crossed Tigray from Eritrea, and then it attacked Tigray forces, and Tigray forces suffered decisive setbacks. No, that is not what happened. Both forces jointly conducted operation. Eritreans were planning this war. It's not just ENDF. Both ENDF and ADF, they played a key role in crossing the river and then attacking TDF, and TDF then had to retreat from Kobo near Buldia, North Wallo, and southern Tigray too. He thanked Eritrea. He said, Eritrea saved us from collapse, and we will not help anyone who wants to attack Eritrea. So he backed continued cooperation with Eritrea, especially against TPLF. He said that as long as TPLF is armed, TPLF is common enemy of Eritrea and Ethiopian government. That is why this alliance will continue afterwards as well. He just said that TPLF was one of the main reasons behind this alliance, and Eritrean government saved Ethiopian government from collapse, Ethiopian federal forces from collapse. So he thanked Eritrea. He said people were talking about, they were calling for withdrawal of Eritrean military from Tigray, that it was an issue of territorial integrity and sovereignty of Ethiopia. Where were these people when Sudanese forces entered Ethiopian borders? I think he was mentioning Sudan's recapture of Fashaga last year. And lastly, he accused Egypt that Egypt is arming groups and people in Ethiopia, in Gambela region, in other regions of Ethiopia. Egypt is providing support to armed factions by air and by road as well. TPLF and others were provided with support by Egypt and Sudan. So it means that National Security Advisor Ridwan clearly stated Ethiopian government's position that TPLF will continue as a political party in Tigray. It could be made part of the cabinet at federal level too. Wolkait's issue will be resolved through negotiation talks. Eritrea will continue as Ethiopian partners, especially against TPLF, as long as TPLF is armed. And if anyone wants to attack Eritrea, including TPLF, federal government will not back the party. And lastly, Egypt is still playing the role of a destabilizer in Ethiopia. It is trying to create instability in Ethiopia. Thank you for watching.